Welcome to church.
Hey, welcome to church.
Welcome to church.
Welcome to church.
Then I read the red letters, and the ground began to shake. The prison walls started falling, and I became a free.
So we prayed for them that they have a good time. Jordan challenged the youth to some reckless faith, or some crazy faith, I guess he calls it. Crazy faith last week, and challenging them to bring people and grow the youth group. And so, it's like when we're trusting God for things in our life like that, and it could be way out there, real far reach, and people go, it's just crazy. What are you doing? But when God makes it happen, they go, well, they just had faith. But while you're trusting Him for it, they're saying you're crazy. So crazy faith. We all should have crazy faith. We should be trusting God for the things that seem impossible. And my wife keeps reminding me of those things lately. And so it's just been the theme the last week or so for me. And since when God's speaking to me and putting things on me, I get to share that with you guys. Because I start studying things to help feed myself, and then in turn I share what God's doing in my life with you guys. So we're doing the Redders this week, and the red letters, and it's on true rest. And part of the whole thing with true rest was like that last song, well, actually the whole theme of songs that went on this week, Force and Worship. But being able to soar with God through the storm and being able to have rest. When we look at God and He says, I'll give you rest, He's not saying, well, I'm going to remove you from all the stuff that's going on in the world, but I'm going to give you that rest and that peace that you need while you're going through the war, the storms, and the battles that you're going through. One of the examples of that even was when Jesus was on the boat and He's sitting there and He's asleep, and He's resting, and all the disciples are in turmoil and stress and crying out and in fear, and every emotion that is negative, they were feeling it. And what was Jesus doing? He was resting. Because He knows who His Father is. That doesn't mean there wasn't a storm going on. That doesn't mean that there wasn't waves coming over and trying to sink the boat. That just means that He knows who His Father is and what His Father's purpose is. And no matter what it is in our life, that God is in control. And He just stepped up and spoke to the problem. And God became part of the problem, took care of it, and became the solution. God wants to do that in your life through your storms. And so there's some interesting things. And doing the red letters and trying to do this with the red letters, we're going to go to Matthew 11, 28 and 30. And this is the only verses I'm using today, but I'm going to do them through two different. I'm going to do the New King James, and then I'm going to do the Passions at the end. And then we're going to get together and do a little bit of body ministry in this too, because we need to remember what's going on. But in Matthew 11:28, Jesus is saying, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." How many of you are heavy laden and burdened with something in your life? Okay. Now, honestly, how many of you are feeling heavy and have a weight or a trouble or a pain or a worry or even a worry or a fear about somebody else in your life? You got to see in this, Jesus says, "Come to me, all of you that feel this way." He's not talking to the unsaved alone here. He's talking to His followers when He's telling them this. He says, you got to be a part of who I am in this. Come to me when you're feeling that way. A problem that we have as Christians is we start putting on a mask and we say, well, I'm a follower of Jesus, so I got to look like I have it all put together. And we put on that great Christian mask that we all have in our little bag of tricks here. And we make things look like everything's great. I know pastors who teach that if you're a follower of Jesus, that's the way you're supposed to be. Well, read Psalms and see what David has to say about that. Talk to Jesus when he was in the garden going through a storm. Jesus himself, when he was under such a burden and such a weight that he sweated blood because of what was being put on him, because of what he was doing for us. Jesus knows what a weight and a burden is. More than anybody. He was the Son of God, and he still had one in his life. He still had to deal with the troubles and trials of the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the Romans, and having to flee a town here and go there because of threatening to be stoned and this, and anger and frustrations, even to the point where he said, knock the dust off your feet when you're in an area where they won't listen to you. He knows what trials and burdens are. So us as his brothers and sisters, as followers of Christ, and he is our master and we are disciples, should have an understanding that we are going to have trials and tribulations and problems and weights and troubles and all those kind of things. Jesus understands that. We're not supposed to act like there's nothing going on and be in denial. We're supposed to be honest first with ourselves and say, yes, there is a problem right now. The problem is us as Christians have a tendency to say, no, I'm not supposed to feel that way because my God is great. Your God is great. But we have to start being honest with ourselves and acknowledge that. I've been having to battle this week. I've been a Christian my whole life. I was born, my mom started dragging me to church. I didn't have a choice. She prayed for a cowboy preacher, and that's what she wanted. I've shared this story before. After I have 3 older sisters, and when the 3rd sister was born, my mom almost died. She was in a hospital, got down to like 78 pounds, and all that kind of stuff. And my dad said, well, I'll give you a couple years off, and then you're going to try again because I want a boy. So she started praying when she got pregnant and said, okay, I need a boy, and if you give me a boy, I'll make sure that he lives for you. And that, I'll give my life to you completely. Well, she had a boy, so I didn't have a choice. We all have choices, but she brought me up in a way of where I understood who Jesus was and that I wanted that life. She had her trials and her tribulations, and she put God in it. And so we have to have an understanding. I grew up my whole life in the church, from the time I remember going to Sunday school as a little, in the preschool part and all the way up. And Royal Rangers, all that kind of stuff. And like Monica said, I was raised the same way she was, more of a Pentecostal style, kind of a, we're pretty mellow compared to the way I was raised. And I've had that relationship with Jesus through every trouble, every trial, and all that kind of stuff, and I still get to the point where I forget about that true relationship and what it really means, and I let the situations in my life weigh me down. The problem is I don't acknowledge who he is in those things. I first have to acknowledge that there's a problem. And then I have to recognize the solution. And Jesus is the solution. God is the solution to our problem. Why do you think he says, come to me all who are feeling heavy and burdened and worried? I mean, it could be wondering how you're going to pay your next utility bill. I mean, right now, there's a lot of people still not working. I know people who've lost their jobs through all this stuff, and they're going, why? If you're a parent, I know you got some worries and troubles. It doesn't matter if your kids are little like Miss Addie back there. Hi, Addie. Or when you say, you have a newborn baby and you don't sleep. Well, I hate to tell you, I slept way less with teenagers than I did with newborns. My youngest is 28, and I still worry about it. So I know there's worries and troubles because I'm not only worrying about me, I'm worried about my kids. And then now I'm worried about my kids' kids. But I'm not supposed to have a spirit of worry or fear or anything like that. But it's human nature. It's worldly nature. It's what we have to deal with because we're born into it. So we have to acknowledge that those things are in our life, and then we have to acknowledge the solution to it. Amen? You know, we have these kids right here. I mean, look at the stresses that. You want to come up here? You want to come here? Hi, baby. Hi. Say hi. Isn't she beautiful? James, go ahead and go to the next slide, too. I mean, we get to a point where we just get in the thing where we want to give up because of sometimes the things that are going on. We kept giving it to God. We keep giving it to Him. We keep laying it down. And then we just get the feeling that we're overwhelmed because nothing is going on and all that. Well, what I want to do is I want to go back to that verse. Can I go back to that? And it'll be Matthew 11:28, but we're going to do it through the Passion. We're going to go through it slowly here. It says, "Are you weary? How many of you are weary? Be honest. How many of you guys are tired? I mean, you get to the point sometimes at the end of the day to going, I don't know if I'm going to make it through. How many of you are carrying a heavy burden? She's getting heavier than she was last time I picked her up. We have those burdens because we take on things because it's a godly nature to care about the things that God cares about. So we take on those cares. That doesn't mean it's wrong that we're worried about or concerned about somebody in our life that we need to intercede for or pray for. It's a natural. Jesus knew that we are going to be taking them on. We'll go back to Mom. Okay. I'd hold you more, but Mom's getting back. Bye. So are you weary, carrying a heavy burden? Well, if you are, it says, then come to me. Jesus is saying, come to me. Acknowledge that you're feeling that way and then turn to me. Don't just declare and be in denial and say, well, you know, that's going on, but that's in its place, I'm doing this. He says, turn to me. You're going to have those situations. And when you do, turn to me. And then he says, I will refresh your life. He won't just give you rest, he will refresh you. So when you're in the midst of that peace and that rest, he grows you and he feeds you and he refreshes you so you can go out and you can do more. But you have to turn to him in order to get that. So if you have those things in your life and you say, well, I'm not going to let them control me and this and that, and you just put it there and you just keep going through life like a robot and just pushing through and all that, and you don't turn to him and let him be a part of it, you're not taking care of it. You're not being refreshed. You might get through it, but you're going to be more beat up than if you turn to him in the midst of it. He says, I will refresh your life, for I am your oasis. How many of you look at Jesus as an oasis? I mean, we go through life and have the problems, and you think about that country song, Some Beach, you know, where you want to go and sit on a beach somewhere and have your nice little umbrella and sitting on beautiful waves and this and that. Jesus is that place for you. If we have something in our life where we're thinking and it's something else, we're not looking at it right. Oh, I have to get away. Mine's the mountains. I love to go to the mountains, but you know what? I don't want to be in the mountains unless Jesus is there with me. Because it's not the mountains, it's the creator of the mountains that makes the difference. So we have to rest in him, let him refresh us. For I am your oasis. Simply join your life with mine. How many of you do that through all the situations in your life? We might have a problem or a burden or a trouble and in our life, and we might think, you know what? I'm not worthy of that, of God intervening. This is just a little problem. It's just a little thorn in my side. You know what? The little thorn is just as important to him as the giant mountain. The sand and grain in your shoe that's causing a hurt or pain when you're taking a step. And we go, well, I'm not worthy of him having to deal with something little like that. He wants to. Hi. He wants to deal with that. He wants you to join your life with his. So everything you go through, part of being joined is everywhere you go, everything you do, and every place, and every situation you're going through, He is with you in that. That's why they say so much about a yoke. Generally, when they do stuff and you're going through something, you're joined with something, the yoke ties you together, not one in front of the other, but side by side. And I've shared this over the years, started 20 years ago in Cowboy Church when I started doing some study on it. When you have one horse, you have a big draft muscle horse there, and it's pulling the wagon, he can pull like 3,000 pounds. When you put two of them on there, you think, well, if there's two of them, one can do 3,000, you can pull 6,000 pounds. Well, no. When you're joined with Jesus and you're doing it, and there's two there, you actually pull more than double the weight. Jesus says, join your life with mine. Be yoked with me. For when it is, the yoke will be light. It doesn't mean you still don't have to pull that load. It doesn't mean you don't have to go up that and over that mountain. It doesn't mean you don't have to conquer the enemies that you're battling. It means when you join with Him, you'll be able to do it in a way that you wouldn't be able to do it without Him. It goes on and says, learn my ways, and you'll discover that I am gentle. Learn my ways, and you'll discover that I am gentle. If you're thinking of Jesus as not a gentle person or somebody gentle to join with, you need to learn and understand who He is more. You need to spend more time with Him. We've said this over and over and over again. This is the key thing of having an understanding of who and what His character is. So you understand what He could do in your life. And this is what I like to do this part. Don't just say, discover that I'm gentle and then jump on, but say, learn my ways and you'll discover that I'm gentle. And then do, learn my ways and you'll discover that I am humble. Then you do, learn my ways and you'll discover that I'm easy to please. How many of you think of Jesus as someone easy to please? So many of us think of it as rules and regulations and burdens in itself and all that. That isn't the relationship He wants with you. That isn't the relationship that He climbed on the cross for you. He wanted one that you joined your life and walked through your life with Him, and then it would be easy no matter what you went through. How do you think the disciples, once they learned the real relationship, after Pentecost and stuff like that, I mean, like I shared a couple weeks ago, before all that happened, they were scared to death to say that they were, hanging out with Jesus, and they hid in the back in the shadows and stuff. But after they understood the relationship, those people went to death for Him and with Him. And some of them preached until their dying breath. Because He would get them through that. He'd walk them through. They still had trials and troubles and tribulations and worries and burdens and all that, but it gave them an understanding of true relationship of being joined with Him. This world is getting really messed up. And if you want to get through what's going on and do it in the right way, you've got to join with Him. Learn my ways, and you'll discover that I am gentle, humble, and easy to please. You will find refreshment and rest in me. Then it goes on, for all that I require of you will be pleasant and easy to bear. I guarantee you, He was on every cross, in every stoning, in every situation that those disciples went through. He is in every lonely car ride, loneliness in the bedroom, argument with the family, or concern about kids, or finances, or pain and sickness. He is there with you because His desire is to be joined with you in it. And when you allow that, He will get you through it. So many of us want a relationship, remove me from this. Sometimes He does. But what He's going to say is, I'm going to get you through it. And you're going to be stronger than you were than when you went into it. And when people see how strong you were through that situation that breaks most people, they're going to say, who got you through that? Because I want to know who that is. That's what it's about. That's being joined with Him and walking a true relationship with Jesus. That's why He says, come to me when you're feeling this weight and this burden, this trouble. Don't do it on your own. Do it with me so I can get you through it in a way that nobody can understand. And then they'll want to know who I am. That's what it's about. That's what we do. For all that I require of you will be pleasant and easy to bear. My life verse is Micah 6:8. All I require of you, says the Lord, is to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly. That's not hard to do. That's all He requires from us. And if we're doing that yoked to Him, no matter what situation we're in, we can do it. And then, though, it doesn't seem so overwhelming. Another thing that I feel God just threw at me, and this is something I've shared, and the reason why we stepped into the church here is the outcome isn't up to me. The obedience of what I'm doing and walking is up to me. If He calls me to do something with Him, it's my obedience that He's asking. He doesn't care what the outcome is because He'll deal with the outcome. He'll make it what He needs it to be. But if He's calling you and asking you to do something, it's the obedience of that action of saying, okay, I will join with you, and I won't stress out about what the outcome's going to be. Right now, I've been worried this last week about stuff that's going to be 2, 3, 4 months down the road, and my wife's reminding me is walk with Him today. He will take care of tomorrow. Make sure the relationship is right today so you're around to walk with Him tomorrow. That's what's important. That's what we need to do. If any of you want prayer for anything at all other than, it might not be a burden, it's prayer for somebody else, some of that, please come up and see one of our ministry leaders or up front with me. We'll get people to pray with you. You should never leave here without getting prayer if there is a situation in your life that can use agreement with. That's why we're here. But I ask you, go out this week, be willing to learn more about Jesus and join your life with His, and walk through your life in a way to where He is side by side with you in everything you do. Because that's what He's asking for. That's what He wants. And when you do that, your life will be different. The troubles won't be so big. The worries won't be so big. The pain won't be so bad. We just have to trust in Him. Be blessed. Have a great week. Jesus is asking, come away with me. He's wanting you to be joined with Him. This whole theme this last year with us has been, come away with me. That means to walk with Him. Go for a walk with Him like He originally started in the garden in the afternoon, the cool of the afternoon. Start spending time with Him so you can really, truly see who He is and who He wants to be in your life. And allow Him to be that in your life. And then you'll see your life change. Be blessed. Go out and change someone's life. Have a great week.